So, welcome to chapter 3. So, we already last week, we saw in grayed out fields the first person singular and second person singular forms of the verbal paradigm that have the forms am and at in the first conjugation and em and et in the second conjugation. As we have heard, the endings of the first person singular are of special value because these are then also the dictionary forms of the, these are the dictionary forms in dialect dictionaries and older dictionaries. There would be a much more meaningful dictionary form than the infinitive, but we have some Russian interference in going into this. But if you find yourself struggling with remembering what conjugation class a verb belongs to, try to remember the first person singular, and then you know what conjugation class it is. Actually, any most inflected forms tell you what the conjugation class is. And another thing to just as a mental bridge to help you remember these things is that so the first one is often called, the first conjugation is typically called a conjugation, the second one is called the e conjugation. But in both cases, in the third person, you have the flip, that if you had an a in the first and second person, you then have an e. And if you had an e in the first and second person, you then have an a. Okay, and as we already saw last week, the perceived irregularities we have orthographically are just an artifact of orthography. They're the conjugation of these forms is completely regular, even when it looks weird. It's just this Cyrillic orthography making life difficult sometimes. So here we had shinch to sit down and shinche to sit. Shincham, shinchem it looks perfectly normal here. But even if you have something like liyam, to become or to be, first conjugation, or kayash, to go, it looks irregular here in Cyrillic with suddenly this ya appearing and disappearing. But if I look at it in transcription, it's perfectly regular. So if you find yourself distracted by forms like liyam with the ya here, what you really should be doing is practicing the orthography a bit more and trying to become a bit more accustomed to it. And likewise, when we have the like shu to arrive or pool to give, if we have this form pu m with this backwards e, we just need this to make sure that so that it would not be read as pu yem. Like in this example here with shu esh in the third person, this has actually been here. It distinguishes meaning that shu esh is to arrive, but there is also then a verb shu yash, which means like to extend something, and then that has then the form shu yesh in the third person singular. You can hear this in the moderator in the Mariel radio clip uses this form at some point. You can hear the word shu yesh being said. Okay, and so the verb to be, ulаш with the verbal style ul, is at this point a perfectly regular verb of first conjugation verb. Just that in if we're using it as a copula in the third person singular, we drop it usually. So it's like mui journalist ulam, I'm a journalist. Tu journalist ulat, you are a journalist. Tu journalist, she, he, they are a journalist. Nunu journalist ulat, they are journalists. Yeah. So the illative case is, we're here seeing something that is going to make our life a lot easier when with Mari in Mari morphology, is that if you remember how to form the inessive, you already know to form the illative, because it is attached to the stems in exactly the same manner, and so you can learn it by analogy. The difference that you have between the illative and the inessive is that the illative has a short form. So we have like into the city, we have olashke or we have olash. So the k is optional if you're using it as on its own. You do need the long form if you attach possessive suffixes to it or any other suffixes that if you like say into my city, that has to be. Excuse me? Can you repeat that?
I'm sorry. I didn't realize I wasn't muted. Sorry about that.
Ah, no problem. So into my city is olash kem. It cannot be olashem. The short form, the short illative ending sh is can only be the last suffix attached to a word. Also, if we have like clitics or whatnot, they all go on the long form. So possessive suffixes, first person singular and second person singular. We're going to meet a new class of suffixes here, but we've almost got them all at this point, all suffix types. So these are what we call in our grammar e suffixes, that they usually but not always are attached to a stem with an e preceding the m. In a lot of dialects of Mari, like in Hill Mari, it is really 100% always M, also in the cases where in Meta Mari it is not. So we can form, we can have the classes we have had before, but we have to make a bit of another subdivision here. So yeah, we had the three classes we had in with other suffixes were stressed vowel, consonant, and unstressed, E, O, Ö. If we have the class of stressed vowels has to be split in two in this case, because after a and e, the possessive suffix first person singular is simply an m without a vowel preceding it, whereas after u and ü and e also it is m with an a in there. And in the consonant group, we just attach m to the end of the word, and in the unstressed final e or ö group, we attach m to the end of the word, but it deletes the preceding vowel. So one moment, I'm just checking who's doing exercises today. Okay, so let's see if we can manage to form all the possessive or the first person possessive forms. Gopal, ola.
Ola, olam.
Exactly. Sorry. Yeah. Valentina, tenge.
Sorry, I was on mute. Tengem.
Tengem, right. Kelvin, pasu.
Pasuem.
Pasuem, exactly. So here you have to just be careful to remember that after u you need the e and after a you do not. But like you in dialects, even in Metamorphic dialects, you will sometimes hear the form ola m for my city or so. Okay, Kutu, Sandra.
Kutu-M.
Kutu-M. Sat, Mikke.
Sadem.
Yep. Ver, Sonja.
Verem.
Right. Kit, Hand, Jukka.
Kidem.
Yep. Mut, Ward, Luan.
Mutem.
Right. Pert, House, Hannah.
Purtem.
Yep. Vut, Water, Samo.
Vudem.
Vudem, exactly. So, and the last three, the first one I'm going to do from Keche, day or sun, it is Kechem. So potentially nerdy side note here is that then sometimes you might think, oh, but then it is just an M attached to this unstressed A, but not really. This unstressed A is deleted by the suffix M, and so the E you see here, the stressed E, is not the same E that you had here, the same A that you had here in the nominative form. A similar thing happens with the definite articles in Scandinavian languages, for example, that also start with an A and delete unstressed final vowels that precede them, even if they're an unstressed A, for example. Then Gopal, Tumo.
Tumum.
Can you say that again?
It'll be Sorry, tumem, yeah.
Mem, exactly. So what you said was the accusative, and this is something that we have to pay attention to, that we don't get this one and the accusative mixed up. Valentina, Körge?
Körgem.
Right. Good. And second person singular with et. I'm not going to go through these forms again because it is exactly the same, just that you have an M instead of a, sorry, a T instead of an M. But so here is just to make sure that this, like this mistake that we just heard, to make sure that one knows to avoid these. I put a comparison here of accusative and possessive for a suffix first person singular here. What with all of these stems, these two forms respectively are. And you have to pay special attention by ola, where the accusative is olam and the possessive form is also olam. So if you see olam, this is actually ambiguous. It could be either. Likewise with tenge. Tengem can be either accusative or it can be possessive suffix first person singular. But in all other forms, the E that precedes the M sets these two apart from one another. Kutum, kutuem, pasu, pasuem, sadem, sadem, verem, verem. And as you can see, this also it also brings about a shift in stress between these two. That the unstressed the linking vowel that precedes the accusative is not stressed, but the A that precedes the possessive M, that is stressed. Kidem, kidem. Mutem, mutem, pertem, pertem, etc., etc., etc. Along similar lines, so we have now the possessive suffix second person singular et, and we have a clitic at, which is in the category of so-called a suffixes, to which the infinitive also belongs, which also deletes unstressed final vowels that precede it. This at we're going to have another look at it today. It occurs in text again. It's sort of it's a clitical demand. It means and also, but also in negated senses. It can be neither, blah blah blah. Often you find it coordinated with two elements that neither Anush nor Sergei came, or both Anush and Sergei came. So so often you have like parallel occurrences of it. And this is something just this clitic at, in my experience, students of Mari often tend to underuse this one, that they oftentimes will want to use an explicit conjunction, den or da or something like that, when Maris would actually be using this at clitic. So at is your friend. Okay, but in any case, if we now compare what the possessive suffix and the clitic, what this respectively ends up being, if we attach it to these to the forms of ola, olat, olat. So here the two fall together again. But in all other forms they don't, because here it's tenget, but here it is tenge at. This a preceding the t in the suffix is realized after everywhere except after an a, that you do not, because you do not have length distinction in vowels in Mari, so ola, at wouldn't really work in Meta Mari. In here Mari, it's done exactly like that, that you do then have a double A. Okay. But also good to try to keep these apart. And then the third, just a third triplet to look at is if we have the genitive in n and we have a derivational suffix an, which means having something, which we had with lat kokum shel nomeran pert, the house with the number 12 or so. This extremely productive derivational suffix used to indicate having XYZ. That these two also converge after n. So olam can be either of the city, genitive, or it can be an adjective having a city or so. But everywhere else, these forms also they are also differentiated by the different vowel that precedes them. So, oops, there's a little mistake here. That doesn't matter. And this is just this is the basis of, if you look at our learner's grammar of Mari at grammar.marilanguage.com, but also on the course website, we have an overview here of the suffix types. And to get to get these, to not get the accusative and the possessive suffix first person singular mixed up, you just have to have a grasp of the respective suffix types. And this is, so this is an exhaustive overview of the suffix types we have, and we can see that we already know the critical masses of these. H hyphen suffix, those are like the plural in vlak, where the base word is not changed in any way. So tumo, oak, tumo, vlak, nothing happens there. A suffix, like the possessive suffix first person singular, tumem, my oak. A suffixes like at, we've had that. The suffix is like the genitive in n, ones that need a linking vowel. Then, okay, here this is something that I have not mentioned yet. So the initiative, it looks very similar to the way that the genitive is formed, but you do sometimes have an haplology after stems ending in sh. So if you have like ishtemash, doing, while doing something or in the doing of something, would not be the regular ishtemashishte, though that's also legitimate. Usually you would say ishtemashte, that you have this shush is through haplology pushed together, and that's the only difference that you have between these two groups here. Then these are the n suffixes and s suffixes. Those are the only ones that we have not yet met, but we're going to meet the n suffix. We're going to meet this one very promptly. So basically, we've already got most of the linking procedures under our belt for in Mari. Okay. One thing to note with possessive suffixes, that in the first person singular and second person singular, there are irregular forms used for, optionally used for a number of kinship terms. Optionally used means that you can use irregular forms. They are correct, they are appropriate, and you can find them also. I have not yet looked in a corpus what the separation, what the share of them is. But if we have things like Venge, the son-in-law, and Sheshke, the daughter-in-law, Sholyo, the younger brother, and Erge, son. Here we have the irregular forms where it is, in the first person singular, it is an M, but inflected like the accusative, so without the A preceding it. And in the second person singular, it's a ch, which is also then cognate with the T that we have as a regular form. But so it would be then Vengem, Vengich, Sheshkem, Sheshkich, Sholyum, Sholyich, Ergem, Ergich. But as I said, the regular ones are perfectly acceptable here too. So if you don't want to learn to actively use these are fine, but you should recognize it. That if you see ergem, if you don't know about this, you would assume, oh, that has to be an accusative. And ergem is accusative of the son, but it could also be this irregular possessive form. Good. Pronouns. So Mari is a pro-drop language. You can, if a pronominal subject is clear from context, you can just drop it. You don't need to have it. If you say "Tui kushtu ilet," where do you live? The usage of the pronoun implies that there is something contrastive going on. That I'd say, ilem, tui kushtu ilet. I was just talking about myself. I live in Vienna, but what about you? But if we're just meeting and doing small talk and ask you, so where do you live? And there's no contrast with myself going on. I just say kushtu ilet. And there are no restrictions in pro-drop as regards person or tense or mood or anything like that. This is just a note because in Finnish there are those that pro-drop is not in literary Finnish. There are restrictions to pro-drop in the third person, but in Mari this is not the case. The only restriction possibly that there is that the third person plural is often can be used in a generic sense, like following the Russian pattern of, like in Russian, if you ask somebody in Russian what they're called, you'd ask them "Kak vas zovut," which literally is "what do they call you?" But the "they" is not overtly expressed. You don't have a pronoun there. And if you in the third person plural don't have the pronoun, it might push people towards a generic interpretation of a sentence. But that is not to say the pro-drop is excluded in the third person plural. My colleague Johannes Hirvonen and I have looked at this in a corpus, and we can find a whole lot of examples where very clearly we have a referential meaning intended, but no pronoun. So, yeah. Okay, that's it for the big grammar, the grammar chunks, words and word usage. Okay, the Mari kinship system can be a bit, if you are coming from a Western European perspective, it can be a bit daunting. If you are not, you won't be that shocked by it. Because the Mari kinship system, it differs from Western European kinship terminologies in some critical aspects. That is, here we have the core system of it. So first is we have so-called relative age distinction. We have separate words for elder siblings and younger siblings. Elder brother, elder sister, younger sister. And I can't believe it. I'm not sure if it was in this course where if I was asked in this course or in my other course, what one does when one is a twin. I think it was in the other course. Somebody asked me, what if they're twins and people were factually born at the same moment? Well, close to, but not exactly at the same moment. And those few minutes, they determine for the rest of your life if you are the Iza or the Sholyo of the equation. I believe this is the same in Hungarian. Can somebody confirm and deny this?
Yeah, so I think in Hungarian you would mostly just say ikertestvér, like twin sibling.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
I would say actually you would most probably go for the older sibling as well.
Yeah.
Or regardless whether the other is older or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I once asked a Mari, and they told me that it's really who came out first, but it could be that there is some variation in this in practice. Okay, so in this sense, it looks more complex, especially if we then start looking at the larger system here. Because what I gave here, the core, these are the ones that you really should actively know. You don't have to know everything which is here in this graphic practically. Like, I don't always know. I wouldn't know off the top of my head what the correct term would be for the husband of my mother's younger sister's younger sister or so. But one thing that is interesting is that as complex as it seems in this respect, as regards the age distinctions, in some other critical ways it seems very simple. And I can give you one example. So there's a Mari colleague of mine based in Budapest, the same one you heard in the recordings last week. And we do a tandem that we speak, usually when we meet, one time we speak English and another time we speak Mari. And once when I was in Yoshkaula, I met with her and we were speaking Mari on that day. It was the designated Mari day. And she said at some point, I've got to go home because Erla Izam Armiishkaya. So tomorrow my older brother is going to the army. The next time we met, and I said, so I guess your brother is in the army now. And she just looked at me and said, I didn't have a brother. Okay, but you told me Izam Armiishkaya. She said, yeah, that was my cousin. Because you do not distinguish between siblings and cousins in Mari. So that it seems strange. Why do you have this complicated system on the one hand, but then no distinctions for such fundamental things like siblings and cousins? The answer to this is that if you are living in a sort of a large family, in like a farmyard or whatnot, and all the cousins are living together, the distinction between your older brother and your older cousin is not as important as it is in a context where everybody's living in small nuclear families that are spread out. It is somebody that lives in your household who is older than you but younger than your parents. And because Iza, you will also meet it again. The Iza, it's also the father's younger brother is also Iza, just like your older brother, because the distinction between your father's younger brother and your older brother is not that important in this cultural context. And then you have some like very specific, terms that also you can better understand them if you consider this cultural context that you have here. It's like there's an own word that is not depicted here to mark, is used by a woman to mark her husband's older brother's wife. Okay, you don't have a word for a cousin, but you have an own word for your husband's older brother's wife. What's up with this? Well, think about the context of large families where usually the women marry into the household of the husband. So if you are a woman and you're marrying into a household, you are a an external party to this group of people where most of them have been living together for decades and really have their own thing going, and you are an outsider. But if your husband has an older brother, and the older brother is also married, and usually that will have happened before you got married, before you married into the family, that older brother's wife is going to be another woman who is external, originally external to this whole larger family, who married into it and somehow got to live with these people. So she's actually an important frame of reference for you as an outsider coming into this family. So it actually makes a lot of sense that you have a specific word for this sort of specific reference person in this family. Okay, as is usual for languages out in the East, a lot of these terms that we see here are also used as to address people with whom one does not actually have a family relation, like colleagues or whatnot. And then often it would make more sense to translate them as Mr. or Mrs. or Miss or something like that than in their literal translation. And of course there can be some like some structural issues in place, like in who do you address as your Isa and who do you address as your Sholyo, because it can sometimes, it's not just age that determines this, but also social rank in a way. And you can also communicate where you see yourself in the social order by which ones you use. Like if I were to take over some company in Yoshka Ola, and there's some Mari people living and working in the company that are 10 years older than me, and I address them as, I don't know, Yuvan Sholyo, little brother Yuvan. I'm communicating that I see myself above them. So yeah. And the system, you can also see like the Maris tend to refer to Lenin as Lenin Isa, big brother Lenin. I at first thought that this was an ironic thing. It's not an ironic thing. So, okay. Yeah, I gave some extra words that are good to know. Pelash is spouse, that's gender neutral. And also tang, boyfriend, girlfriend, romantic partner, is completely gender neutral. And you get used to this word, especially if you are under a certain age and going to Russia. People are going to ask you, Tange Ulamo, do you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a romantic partner of any sort? So a good phrase to know. I know Tita Nela Yodish. This is a difficult question. It's complicated if you ever have the need for that one, because sometimes it's like, I'll never forget the time that I was in. So the first time I went to Mariel, I was not at that point dating anyone, and I was in the radio, and I was being interviewed, and I was asked, do you have a girlfriend? And I said no. And the radio moderator asked, well, why not? Do you work so much that you have no time for stuff like that? Don't you want to take yourself a Mari girl home with you? And there's a YouTube clip of me just sort of not knowing how to process this information that was being thrown at me. So the next trips to Mariel, or to Russia in general, I went prepared. And once I was there at a time when I was dating somebody, and I was asked, do you have a romantic partner? I said, yes, I do. And then the question that came was, oh, so is she prettier than Mari girls? And there is literally no way I can answer this question without being a complete asshole. Why are you asking me these things? But yeah, if you go to Mariel, you will be asked strange things. Be prepared. Okay. Another thing to note are the so-called vocative forms. This is an aerial feature that Turkic languages of the region know this too, and other Uralic languages too. That is a number of kinship terms ending in a vowel. You can attach a y to it to make what is generally called a vocative form, like awa, mother, avai. The term vocative is a bit misleading because that makes you think that it would be a case form, as one knows from languages like Latin or what. But it is actually more derivational than anything else. That the difference between ava and avai is basically the difference that one has between mother and mom. And you can use this avai as a simple noun. It can be the subject. It does not have to be used when addressing somebody. It is, but it doesn't have to be. And we can also subject it to inflection. So you can have acha, the father, and achai, dad. You can have acham, my father. You can also, or achamin, my father's, with possessive suffix and infinitive. But you can also have achayem, my dad, achayemen. And yeah, so don't be distracted by the term vocative and think that it can only be used when addressing somebody directly. And for those kinship terms that don't have these ye forms here, when addressing somebody, you generally use possessive suffix mark forms of the first person singular when addressing somebody. My wife, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. Another thing which you don't see here yet, but what Maris do, another aerial feature, an aerial thing in the Volga-Kama region, which is pretty wild, is that if you have a married couple that has a child, often the woman will address the man as achaje, and the man will address the woman as abaje, which is literally his, her mother, his, her father. So they are defining themselves in this relation in their speech, in the relation to their shared child. Like, you person that is the mother of that one over there. Hey, you father of that one over there. So keep an eye out for that too, that you see achaje and avaje as vocative forms of sorts. Okay, this next point is for most people who have, for whom this is not the first foreign language to study, and I don't think this is the first foreign language for anybody to study. The distinction between a familiar form and a polite form is going to be probably, you would be aware of this. That we have ty is like German du or Russian ty or Finnish sina or whatnot. And we have the same distinction we have like in Russian or in Finnish that and you used to have in German is that the polite form is the plural form. Okay, and just this lийже, this form that we are meeting all the time, I just wanted to have a quick note to here is that like when you have Paul Keche lийже, good day, this is the stem li, to be, to become, with the ending of the imperative third person singular. So the Mari imperative has third person forms, which are sort of going in the direction of sort of optative, use, whatever you want to call it. So like indirect commands. May it, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. This is sort of, these things are marginal in English, for example, but it forms like long live the king or so. That would be sort of going in this direction. So here's the imperative paradigm. We're only going to meet this much later, but it's like li would be the second person singular and lийже is third person singular. May he or she be. So Paul Keche lийже, what it literally means is may it be a good day. Okay. Yeah, and this reduplication for intensification, I think we can deal with this. So we have poro, we can have poro to intensify it a bit, or erken slowly, erken is like really, really slowly. Okay, and this Clitic at, and we have also met this one before. I don't think I have to say much about it. And que, who. Just a quick note that in Mari, you can also use que to ask what somebody does by profession. If you know what somebody's name is, if you ask who is a chan or so, I'm asking what is a chan by profession here, where in English you would say what. Okay. Quick note on kayash and koshtas, two verbs that we have met in the meaning of to go. We have a similar distinction that we have. Hungarian has the same distinction, Finnish has the same distinction. It is the difference between going as a unidirectional thing and going as something lacking direction, either going somewhere and coming back, or going without a clear goal. Like if I say Tudo Kandashagatlan Skolashkaya, here she's going to school at 8 o'clock. This is just specifically one time today going to school. But if I do I go to school at 8 o'clock every day. If I'm talking about this as a habitual thing, then I use koshtam. My child already goes to school, because this is again a habitual thing, going every day to school. Or if I'm asking somebody who has a child, if their child already walks, you'd say Tandan Yoshida Koshdesh, is your child walking? But if I were to ask Tenan Yochada Kaya, is your child going? The answer would be going where? Oh my God, because it has kayash only works with direction. So if we have Ichan Shkolish Kaya, for example, and Ichan Shkolish Koshdesh, this is the difference between Ichan going to school once and Ichan going to school habitually because he's old enough to go to school. Okay, that gets us to the text. Now comes the big question if I've managed the technical setup this time. I'm going to start playing some audio. Please tell me if you can hear it. Could you hear that? No.
No.
No.
Okay, then I have to reset up the screen sharing again. Let me see. Can I have it? I thought, yeah, I had. Okay, I saw Rika asked, is the imperative third person singular used as widely as in Tatar and Co? Yes, it is quite widely used. It's also used in, for example, in like final clauses or so. In order not to get sick, she took some medicine or something like that. Yeah. Doesn't Hungarian do some of that stuff too? That you have the, or am I mixing things up?
I'm not quite sure about it, but I don't think that we use it like in the sense of may it be. Like you don't have to make it that explicit, I guess. You don't use it every time.
Yeah. Okay, so here comes the second text, the second test. One moment. Could you hear it now? Great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Ichan and Kojaje, Ichan and his father. Let me see who's doing it. Okay. So, and this time we have our speakers of an older generation. So last time we heard somebody born in the 80s talking. The two women speaking here were born in the 30s and 50s respectively. They're sisters, but there's a huge age difference between them. And yeah, Kocha is Emma Yakimova, the older of the two, and Ichan is Galina Krylova, the younger of the two. And I'm curious what like if the phonetically eared of you can tell some differences in the pronunciation patterns over the generations. Okay, so one moment.
Ichan den koçarze. Porokechet lийже Ichan.
Then, okay, so I'm always going to play one sentence and then ask one of you to translate. First one, Gopal.
Good day, Chan.
Porokece koçay, kuzey ilet.
Valentina.
So again, good day, grandfather. How are you?
Ichan den
Oh,
koçarze.
sorry, screwed up.
Porokechet lийже Ichan.
Porokece koçay, kuzey ilet.
Tau, ile merken. Açat denevat kuştuğulut.
Kelvin.
Thank you. I'm doing okay. Where are your parents?
Yep.
Açam dinavan paşaş da olut.
Aşırı.
Okay, then Sandra.
My parents are at work.
Açam dinavan paşaş da olut.
Aşırı aret kuştu.
Mikke.
And where is your younger sister?
Yep. So I'm always jumping a bit back to make sure that you hear the whole sentence. So just ignore the bits from the previous sentence.
Kuştu.
Şu жарим ючаса дыште.
Sonia.
My sister is in the nursery school.
Yeah. Yochastad is such a beautiful half-loan translation that it is from Russian Детский сад, which is a loan translation from German kindergarten. And then that they kept the Russian sat, but they translated the Детский part into Yocha. Okay.
А ти ку нам школу шкаєт?
Yukka.
And when will you go to school?
Шкает.
Уроком штем да каем?
Luan?
I do the homework and go.
Ачат тинават кунам толот?
Hannah?
When do your parents come?
Ну, кастена толот. Кочай, мы вашки каем. Ты куда дали кает?
Then Samo?
He comes in the evening.
Not he, they. This is plural. No.
They, right? They come in the evening. Кочай вашке каем. I forgot what vash is.
Soon, quickly. It's quickly or soon.
Okay. So, grandfather, I have to go soon. When do you have to go?
No, this is ale is or. So this is two options. Are you or are you
Wait, I forgot what ga means. Hold on.
Kot is stay.
Oh, are you staying or are you going?
Exactly. Yeah.
Каем. Кастена толам.
Oops, sorry, that's cut off.
Мы вашки каем. Ты куда дали кает?
Май каем. Кастена толам.
Reka?
I'm going and coming in the evening.
Yeah. For years it was irritating me that it sounds a lot like she's saying kayem with stress on the first syllable, and I have no idea if that was just a random thing that happened or... Yeah.
Чеверен кочай.
Чеверн унукам.
Кает?
Май каем. Кастена толам.
Туге же чеверен кочай.
So, Gopal?
I get this expression. Is that like good day or something?
Yeah.
Greeting?
Yes.
Okay.
So tugeja is like so then in that case, and what cheveren is chever is it's an adjective, it's a nice Turkic loan. It means like beautiful, pretty or so, and it is actually an instructive form of it. So the instructive we're gonna learn to meet this is basically making adverbs out of nouns and adjectives. So, and it looks exactly like the genitive, and there are some debates on if it is originally cognate with the genitive or if it's own thing. But if we have sai good, then sayen is well. If we have yol foot, then yolan is on foot as an adverb. And if you have chever beautiful, cheverin means beautifully actually or so, but it's primarily used as a goodbye meeting. Fare thee well, goodbye. It's the polite way of saying it. The colloquial way, sort of sia or whatnot, is kizatesh, which is like into now, actually, like using the lative that we're going to meet in a few weeks. Okay. And then the next one, cheverin unakam, I'll do that one. Goodbye, my grandchild. But then we'll listen to the rest now, and then Valentina can give a shot, give the proverb a shot.
For the saying or
yeah, kalakmut, it's like a proverb.
So I guess it would be such mother, such children, or mothers or children are resemble the mother.
Yeah, as the mother, so is the child.
Right.
In German, the corresponding proverb would be "Der Apfel fällt nicht weit vom Stamm." Does one say something like that in English?
It's exactly the same in English. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
You can also say like father, like son.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. Yeah, I was not, it seemed natural to me in English, but then I'm never sure if that's just the interference of having lived my whole life over here. Okay, so that's it with this. Give me a moment to go over to the exercises, and this week I actually have time for some. Does everybody see the Google Docs?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, first one. And I primarily want to do this orally. I think it's the easiest, and I'll type things when there is any question about how something is spelled or whatnot. And if you ever want somebody to type something in, the correct answer in, then please tell me. So the first one, you should just answer. You should put then the correct answer in the correct inflected forms, and then translate the whole thing, please. I'll do the first one. Kugzai to kushto pashamishtet, my shkolashto pashamishtem. So Kugzai is like, oh god, uncle, but something like the father's elder one. And this is one like I'm not sure about this one, which one it is. Should be noted that this is also sort of the generic old man word. That like sort of like Russian dedushka, the grandfather, that if there's some old man you don't know who it is, you'd say it's and if you're not being extremely polite, you'd say it's Kugaza. And then also Santa Claus in Mari is usually Kugaza, the cold uncle. Okay, then Gopal, the second one.
Akai tai kushto tunemat, my universitetuste tunemam. So I'm guessing that's like elder sister.
Yep.
So like sister, where do you teach? No, with you, or where are you learning?
Yep.
And she says I'm learning at the university.
Yep. Then Valentina.
Achai te mom tunektet, me mathematiken, okay, tunektet. It will be the second tuniktem. So father, what do you teach? I teach math. Math.
Yep. Then Kelvin, the next one.
Ergem, tymom tunemat, my historiam tunemam. Son, what are you learning? I'm learning history.
Yep. Then Sandra, the next one.
Did you say Sandra? Because
yes.
I didn't get the name.
Yep.
Okay. Izai ty kudat mi kudem?
No.
Yeah, okay, because that's the second. Yeah. Mi kudam. Brother, you're going?
Staying.
I'm staying. I'm staying.
Yep. So one thing to keep in mind here is that so the first person and the second person, the vowel is always the same, preceding the ending. This is then also the case in the plural. About this kodam, there is actually also kodem, and that would be leaving something somewhere. So that's kind of like the transitive counterpart to staying somewhere. It's the exact same distinction that we have in Finnish between jäädä and jättää, for example. This is something, there are a few pairs like this in Mari where we have the first conjugation verb and the second conjugation verb that have the same infinitive, where the first conjugation verb is the intransitive one and the second conjugation verb is the transitive one. Okay, I think we're going to skip over the second one because doing paradigms for me is only fun when we have whole paradigms. I hate skipping the first person plural and second person plural. Next week, we're going to know the two of them too. So next week, we're doing whole paradigms. And reading the following dialect and then writing again, I'm going to skip this one too, but illative, this I want to practice. So put the verb into, put the noun into the illative and translate the sentence. Mikke.
My kinoshkayem.
And translation?
I go to the cinema.
Yeah. Then Sonia.
Ty ulashka kayat. You're going to the town, to the city.
Yeah. Then Yukka.
Tudo pashashkaya.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to work.
Yeah. Then Luan?
Echan Shkolishko Kaya, Echan goes to school.
Yep. And Hannah?
Yellow, then Sergey Teatrish Gayat. Yellow and Sergey are going to the theater.
Yep. Okay. So same game now, but now we have to decide which case is the appropriate one. At some point we were discussing Nikolai, and this is in the word list, in the name list that I gave you last week. It is indeed the counterpart to Nikolai. So you have the same NM thing that also happens in Hungarian, where the Hungarian version of that name is also Miklós, unless I'm mistaken. I don't know what, maybe somebody here knows what the historical reason is why we have this alternation between N and M. But I think it's some older form in Russian, and I think also Ukrainian has the M form too, but okay, that's pretty off topic. So I believe Samo was up next. Sorry, this one here, I'm in the wrong line.
Miklai Pashashkaya. Miklai is going to work.
Yep. Then Reka.
Tudin Dırca Üniversitet işte Tunimiş. Your daughter is learning at university, studying at university.
Yeah, his daughter or her daughter. Yep. Then Gopal.
İçanın ergıcı yucha sadış. Yeah, yucha sadış koшташ. So Echan's son, or like, yeah, Echan's son is like goes to the kindergarten.
Yeah. Here I've had students in the past complain that, well, didn't you just have Echan as a kid? Why does there have to be another Echan? But this is the authentic Russian experience, that there are like 5 names and you have remixes of them all. Like a colleague and I yesterday were discussing about if the Moscow-based Vladimir Ivanov is a linguist, the Moscow-based linguist Vladimir Ivanov, if that is an expert of Permic languages or an expert on Iranian languages. He's both, because it's 2 separate guys, because there are 2 Vladimir Ivanovs that are linguists in Moscow. But I've seen some statistics on this, that like if you have like the population size and number of names that are in common usage, that you have real extreme points are Estonia and Russia on 2 extreme points. That in Estonia you have a very small population, but a very wide distribution of commonly used names, and in Russia a fairly large population, and 95% of people have this very small group of names. Okay, now I was jibber jabbering so much that I forgot whose turn it is. Who was the last one? I think wait.
I was
Gopal did that. Yeah. So then Valentina.
Elu Yaliste Ila. So Elu lives in the countryside village.
Yeah, just make sure it's Yelu if you have the ye at the beginning of a
Oh
word.
yeah, Yelu.
Yeah. No problem. Then Kevin.
No škola što tu nemat. They study at school.
Yep. Then Sandra.
Moi Marianne Tunemam. I study the Mari language.
Yep. Mikla.
Wait, sorry, I can't read it.
Oh, wait. Is the picture quality really bad for you?
No, I just scrolled in the Google Doc. That was
okay, good.
Okay. Isamen Vatische Universitätsche Pasham is da. So Isam's wife is working at the university.
Yeah. So my older brother's wife.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, wait 1 moment. I just see that. one moment. I'm having a bit of a technical problem. I should have it in a moment. Here we go. No, we don't. No. God. I'm getting an alert that, sorry, I'm getting an alert that there are messages in the chat, but I can't find the chat. Ah, here it is, under everything else. Okay, found it. Yeah, yeah. This is already, people were before saying that Nikolash, that Julian was saying that it's an older Slavic feature. Yeah, okay, then one moment. So then Sonia, the last one here.
Aceeași din ergeșe pașași caiat. The father and his son are going to work.
Yep. Okay, some questions to answer. Yuka, the first one.
Ми школаште тунемам.
Школашто.
Школашто. Oh.
The Russian A is lost in this word. Yep. Then Luan.
Mais Marie même tунемам.
Yeah. So as we proceed with this exercise, often the translations are so trivial that students no longer produce them. If there ever is something that a student doesn't translate and somebody didn't understand it, please say so in the chat, that a translation, please. I don't want that we go through some sentence and people no longer know what we are looking at. Okay, Hannah?
Tace universitetish kajem.
Then Samo?
Teatrish kunam kayat. Мы teatrish kastene kayem.
Exactly. So this kastene, this is literally, it comes from kastene, with the evening. Yeah. Okay, then Reka?
Ergisi kustuyla, where is his son living? Ergise yoshkaralastela.
Exactly. Then Gopal?
Veran lийже kusto pashamsta. So where is like Veran's, no sorry, where is Vera's daughter working? So Veran lийже Yucha sadishte pashamsta. So Veran's daughter works at the kindergarten.
It's Vera. The N is the genitive.
Right. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No problem. Okay. Then Valentina.
Nuno kushkayat Moskosh.
Moskosh. Want to make a little detour here. So for Moscow, you can use, there are two words that are used in Mari. You can either use the Russian word with a shifted stress, Moskva. Oh no, that's not even a shifted stress. Or you can have Moscow, the more heavily adopted form. There is an extremely popular folk etymology among the Maoris, which a lot of people honestly believe, and that is that Moscow is actually originally a Maori name. And the reanalysis that is carried out is that if you have Moskva, with especially the Sakanya, the vowel reduction Russian, Moskva, and then if you want to analyze that in Maori, you could have it as Maska Ava, Maska, the bear, Ava, the mother, the bear mother. What is the national language of the national animal of Russia? It's the bear. So of course, Moscow as the capital of Russia is the mother of the bear, Maska Ava, Moskva. There you go. Obviously a Maori place name. the thing is that it is actually fairly plausible that Moscow does have that it is a substrate toponym of some Finno-Ugric language, but it is certainly not Mari. But a lot of Maris really want to believe this one. And I once, many years ago, I got into an edit war on the Mari Wikipedia over this, because there was somebody who really wanted to have this in the article on Moscow, that it's originally a Mari city, as you can see on the Mari name, the Bear Mother. Okay. Then, now we have statements and we want to make questions of them, and I believe it was Kelvin's turn.
All right. Tida Yvonne and Knigaje. Tida Kun Knigaje.
Yep. Then Valentina. No, sorry. Wrong order. Sandra.
Sergen Acharze Kastine Tulesh. Which one was when again? Kush? Kunam. Kunam Tulesh Sergen Acharze? No.
No, so the word order stays exactly the same in a question word in Mari as in the statement. So you replace the temporal adverb kastene in the evening. Sergei's father is coming in the evening, and you replace that with the question word when.
Okay. Sergei Acharze Kunam Tulesh?
Exactly. Yeah. So this is actually God, like I'm not doing enough detours already today. But something that I'm frequently asked is like, what can you come up with a Mari sentence that is maximally similar to a Finnish sentence, or maximally similar to a Hungarian sentence? And kunam can be used to create a maximally similar sentence to Estonian, but partly by coincidence, because there's a Mari pop song where are you and when are you coming? And this is Kusto Ulat Kunam. And this in Estonian could be said, or actually there's not that much of a coincidence here. This could in Estonian be Kus Ole ja Kunas Olet. So there you can see that it is fairly similar in this case. If you really restrict yourself to being, coming, and pronominal stems, you can put something together that looks fairly similar between Mari and Estonian. Okay. Then Mikke.
Jelun üdörsö jocsasadis kostes. Jelun üdörsö kostes.
Right, then Sonia.
Me skaralaste ilme me tui kusto ilat.
It would be tui kusto if you want to do it in the second person. What would a form of ilash be in the second person? Where do you live?
Ilat.
Ilet.
Sorry, I was saying that, but probably
okay. Yeah, I
didn't get there. Yeah, but it's good that you ask.
I wasn't sure what I hear, because this is the case where you have to be careful. So ilet is you live. Ilat is they live, plural. So I wasn't sure which one I hear, because here the difference between the two is pretty important. In Hill-Mari, this is especially critical, because in Hill-Mari you have the a is subject to vowel harmony, and can also sometimes be a. And then you will have the difference between a and e that is distinctive often. Okay, Jukka.
Echan moskoshkaya. Echan kushkaya. Where is Echan going?
Yep. Okay, then Luan.
Miklai Urokim ist da, Miklai Mom ist da.
Yep. And Hannah?
Jelon avaže yalışte ila. Jelon avaže kushto ila. Where does Yellow's mother live?
Yeah, exactly. So point 8, I'm going to skip again because this is an incomplete paradigm and I would rather do it next week with a complete paradigm when we know all the possessive suffixes. Just as a note, so in this textbook, every 5th chapter is a revision. This is very much in line with Timothy Riese's personality, from whom I learned Mari back in the day. And Mike also got to study Mari with him, as he's a very, very thorough person. He's the kind of person that if you visit him at his home and you take your shoes off and you leave your shoes lying like this, he will quietly go by and push your shoes in the right order. He doesn't give you any, he doesn't berate you for it, but he doesn't like it if the shoes are just in some haphazard manner. And he is very thorough with his paradigms. So in line with Timothy Riese's thoroughness, we are also going to be in these revision chapters, making sure that the paradigms are really there, that everybody can form all the forms correctly. So next week is going to be the last one before Christmas, the last regular lesson. That's going to be lesson 4. Lesson 5, the first one in January, is going to be the revision one. So by then, make sure that you know all the paradigms. Okay, but this one we can do already. So we want to just have a possessive form here. I'll do the first one. Uder, daughter, uderist, their daughter. And I think Samo was up next.
Lierže.
Yeah. And also translate maybe, please.
Vieres blood. No, it's place.
Place. Yeah.
His or her place.
Yeah. Blood is vur, so it is close. Then Reka.
Akam, my older sister, is it?
Yeah, but it should be tri, so second person.
Akat.
Yep. Yeah. Then Gopal.
Irgust.
Yeah.
So their son.
Yeah. Then Valentina.
Yanga. Gaja.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I forgot the kinship term.
Yeah, it's this is one that I'm not immediately. I want to say brother-in-law, but I want to make sure before no, it's sister-in-law. So you can see this is one that I don't actively use this one. At some point when I was studying Mari, when I tried to learn all these terms, I tried to remember them in respect to like relatives I actually have. That okay, this person would be that would be that. Just, but this is futile over the years, and yeah. Okay. Then Kelvin gets the next one.
Sholia, Nuno Sholiast.
Yeah.
Their younger brother.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you do it with the pronominal possessor, it would be in genitive nunan Sholia. I'm not sure if I heard it. Probably. Okay. Then Sandra.
Shujar, Shujarje.
Yeah.
His or her younger sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is most probably an Indo-European loan of some sort. So that it seems familiar to most, I think. Okay. Then Mika.
Vate, Vatem.
Yeah.
My wife.
Yeah. Sonja.
Marie, Megan, Mariem.
Yeah. So, and what does that mean then?
Sorry, my husband.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Then Jukka.
Ergen.
Yeah.
My son.
Yeah. And so here, I think Jukka did the irregular form, the ergum. You can also say ergem, both are fine, but ergum would be the one that he uses, the more idiomatic one. Then Luan?
Wenge, and to the Wengische.
Yeah.
And his or their, I think it's son-in-law.
Well, wasn't it
Probably.
Was it that, or was it brother-in-law? Yeah, I think it was son-in-law. Yeah, no, it can be, it's son-in-law or brother-in-law when it's the younger sister's husband. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is done like if I'm doing a course at university, the students ask me, "Oh my God, is this going to come on the exam?" And I'm like, "Come on, I don't know this stuff, so I'm going to expect it from you." Kind of like with the various plants and trees and whatnot, that the Maris tend to be more fluent with plants and trees and mushrooms and birds and whatnot than I am in any language. And the classical thing is that when we were working on this textbook with somebody, we went for a walk around here with Mari colleagues, and they kept asking Timothy Riese and me, "So what would you call this tree here in German?" And we'd look at it and say, "Baum." So it's like, we don't know what all the trees are called around here. Okay, then Hanna gets Kurska.
Kurskat.
Yeah.
And it's like sister-in-law or something. I don't know.
Heavy on the something. Let me check my cheat clip here. Brother-in-law. Okay. Yeah, then Sheshke goes to Samo.
Sheshken.
Yeah.
And that is my younger brother's wife, or was it older brother's wife?
Let me check. God, I hate this. God, we're probably gonna have to cut a whole bunch of this out of here because it's too embarrassing. Daughter-in-law or sister-in-law. Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's like with Wenge. If it's the younger brother's wife, then it can be Sheshke.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then Reka.
Vertischt.
Mm-hmm.
Is it their house?
Their house, exactly. Then Gopal.
Sholyet.
Mm-hmm.
This is your little brother.
Yeah. Does anybody want to suggest? I mean, that was absolutely correct. Does anybody want to suggest any alternative forms? Like Jukka, for example. Do you have any ideas?
Is this like something you call any random younger guy?
You can, but you run the risk of coming over a bit dickish if you do. So, like if you are working at an office and there is like somebody there who is actually younger and you are training them in the job, then it would be okay to address them with Sholyo. But doing it to a random stranger in the street, that's sort of like a bit like if you just called some random person a pal in English or so. The connotations are not necessarily ones you want to communicate. Okay, but a different form for Sholyo, possessive form, your younger brother.
Sholyet.
Sholyech.
Ich.
Sholyech. There's in this ich form that the irregular. Okay, but Sholyet is perfectly fine.
Jeremy, may I have a question related to this?
Yeah.
I just wonder where this possessive suffix comes from. Is it for historical reasons? And is it only like in kinship terms, or does it come up also in other words?
It is for historical reasons that remain debated. Similarly, you have a similar dichotomy in Udmurt, that you have two rows of possessive suffixes, where one of them is more used on body parts and as such, and short stems, and the other one is used is more productive. And there are debates on if it has something to do with alienability or inalienable possession and alienable possession, but doesn't really seem like it doesn't hold water as an explanation in Mari, because it's not used with body parts or such. Then to answer your second question, it is only used on these kinship terms and on demonstrative pronoun, on interrogative pronouns. Because in Mari, you can also attach possessive suffixes to interrogative pronouns, mo, what, and que, who. And if I'm asking you, like a classical thing is somebody's at the doctor and the doctor's asking, so what's hurting you? What they say, ask in Mari, is like mo et koshta, your what is hurting. But there you can also say moch koshta, this ch possessive suffix. But those are the two situations where you meet this irregular form, this ch form.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Then I believe it was Valentina up with nomer.
Nomerjo?
Yeah.
Is it like in Russia, the room?
Yeah, exactly. So number, but then by extension also.
Hotel room, yeah.
Yeah. Then Kelvin.
Hola, nunan olasht. Their city.
Yeah. Sandra.
Igot. Igotem.
No, Igotet. Yeah.
Your age.
Your age, exactly. Okay, let me see. I know that I'm going to. Okay. Yeah, I was checking which exercises I still want to do. I think we can do number 10. So starting with Mike, just translate into Mari.
Пожарze.
Yeah. Sonia?
Vertem.
Yeah. Yuka?
Yalisht.
Yep. Luan?
Igotet.
Yep. Hannah?
Tunuktashem.
Yep. Then Samo?
Nomeret.
Yep. Reka?
Your chest.
Yep. Then Gopal?
A game.
Valentina?
Vateže.
Vateže.
Vateže.
Yeah. Make sure that you remember the reduction of the vowel. Vateže.
Vateže.
Yep. Then Kelvin?
Marije.
Yep. Sandra?
Redactier.
Redactiege.
Redactiage.
You don't have to have a linking vowel here. Redactiege. Mikke?
Cham.
Yep. Sonia?
Avat or avach. I'm not
No.
sure. No, it's not on the same list. So avat.
Yeah. Avat. Yeah. The ch form, you can only have it with the small set given there. With other kinship terms, you can't have it. There's like we at some point we actually looked at this in the corpus and we found made an exhaustive list of all the forms that can have it, and that's in the learner's grammar if you look at the section on the possessive suffixes. But the only ones that are not given there are even more marginal kinship terms. So yeah. Then Jukka?
Kovasht.
Yeah. Then Luan?
Show.
Yeah. Hannah?
Akam.
Yeah. Samo?
What was grandchild again?
Nice Slavic loan?
Yeah, my Slavic vocabulary isn't that good either.
Yeah. Unica.
So unikashe.
Yeah. Okay, let's skip this one and go to this one, Reka.
Which one? The grandfather? Kojam?
Kocham, exactly. Then Gopal.
School, right?
Mm-hmm.
Skolet.
Yeah. And Valentina, the last one.
So ilmeje.
Yilmaje. Yeah.
Ilmeje.
Yilmaje. Okay. So with this one, we can do the ones until they start getting into the Sheshgevenge territory. So Kelvin, the first one.
Вам начаже Kocham.
Correct.
Or Kovam.
No.
Kocham. No, I was right.
Yeah. So just a quick note about these, the grandfather forms and the such that we have, these Kocha, Va, Kubaza, and all these forms that we have, if they look a bit similar to one another, historically these go back to Acha. Oops, sorry. And so big father, big mother, big older brother, and they've just been reduced to like this. But you will, like for Kova, you do sometimes find Kuava also still, like somewhat less reduced forms. Okay, then Sandra. Let's skip this one because this is in the forbidden territory of weird kinship terms. But this one we can do.
Thank you for omitting the weird kinship term for me.
Yeah.
Kochamin vateje kova.
Exactly. Then Mikke. Let's skip that one. And let's skip this one too. But so Mikke gets the first one of here where we have Sergei defined in relation to Stepan, but we want to turn it around and have Stepan defined in relation to Sergei. So Mikke, the first one.
So wait, Sergei Stepanin unikaże. Stepan Sergei Kocharzy.
Exactly. Then Sonia, the next one.
Anuk vederen vateže, veder anuken marije.
Yep. Then Jukka.
Ivan Miklayin ergže. Miklay I Yavanen Achaže.
Absolutely right. Then Luan.
Lisuk Borisen Shushache Boris Lisuken Isache.
Yep, correct. Then Hannah, the last one.
Salika Yelun Akaže. Salika is girl, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Yelu Salikan Shijarje.
Yeah. So Salika is one of the, okay, I want to say that it's an original Mari name, but looking at the sound structure, it can't be too old an original Mari name because the S in the initial position and the A in the first syllable you don't have in Finno-Ugric vocabulary Mari. But I don't know off the top of my head where it comes from. But it is a typical Mari name, especially since there is this play called Salika, which was live streamed by the Mari National Theatre a few weeks ago. And some of us were actually there live and have seen the adventures of Salika. This would be like if we do a digital Mari reading circle at someone, we could read a bit of Salika from the play at some point. Okay, so this reading the following dialogues, I'm going to skip this, but as the last one for the day, I do want to do this one here. Where the aim is we say that Anush, there's a daughter called Anush, and you want to say Anush, like my my daughter's name is Anush, and I love my daughter. Just so that we can learn this combination of case suffix and possessive suffix. I believe Samo was the first one. Was the next one up? Or did you just do one? No.
No, I think I am next.
Yeah.
So Kochaman Kochaman. Wait, I'm a little confused about what do we have to do again?
So you want to say my grandfather's name is Stapan, and I love my grandfather's. What are you going?
Okay. Kochaman Lümje Stanan Stapan Muy Kochamam Yuratem.
Exactly. Then Reka.
Okay. Just a minute. Unikamen, Limja, Ludmila. Unikamem, Yuratim.
Exactly. Then Gopal. Oh yeah, maybe do you want to translate still?
Okay, so the name of my grandchild is Ludmila.
Yeah.
And I love my grandchild.
Yep. Then Gopal.
Mari Yemen, Limje Ivan, so Yavan, my Mari Yemen, yes, so Mari Yemam, Yuratem.
Exactly. And Valentina?
So we have Vera Vatte, so the Vera's wife. So Vatiemem Lumjo Vera.
Yeah.
Me Vatemem Yoratem.
Exactly. Okay. So the exercises that we skipped over, some of them are parts of larger exercises we're going to do next week and then after the winter break, and some of them are things that you can do on your own at home if you have the time, if you want, and especially the so I put on the course website now the PowerPoint presentation also, where you then also can do the audio exercise, number 16, directly in the PowerPoint presentation. So I'm going to stop the recording now. Oh, that was stopping screen sharing.